What's good, everybody? Hope y'all are doing well and staying safe. Gonna be going over my minimalistic loadout that I used for my Vault 12 hours Soul Steel Path mod. But before we do go ahead and get into that, definitely be sure to subscribe, give a thumbs up for more minimalistic 12 hours Steel Path mod Warframe builds. Now, to start off with the Helminth, this is not needed unless you are running a weapon that is indicative of having ammo issues and such like that. But if you're not having ammo issues with the gun that you do decide to use, if you don't want to use Barama and try something else, do feel free to put on whatever Helminth ability you want on there. This is just a nice general purpose to make ammo issue weapons work better. Now, Rolling Guard, of course, feel free to have it fully ranked. I just haven't bothered to do so. I only use it in select situations, but an 8 out of 10 will also suffice. Just note that you will be gaining a half a second of a cooldown every rank that is missing, so depending on you as an individual, this could become an issue. And the main reason why I use it is, well, for safe looting. My brain got ahead of myself on the words there, but yeah. Main reason why I do use it is for safe looting. Go ahead and run forward with your 2 active, roll when you get close to the mobs or when you see shield gating occur, and you'll be able to then easily loot and get yourself back to safety. In order to create knockdown immunity, I use sure-footed and fortitude, and also with fortitude, it'll give you faster shield regen, so it does become a bit of a nice thing on that overall aspect, as we're not using catalysting shields to reduce our shield to make shield gating a little bit easier to have at its full duration again. And speaking of duration is very important for this build, and that is predominantly for energized munitions, and that's because it has such a low base duration. It's only 5 seconds. I wish they would upgrade it, but here we are. And the uptime, you really want it to be as high as possible, because with the Barama build that I will be showing you, you will have a 36 arrow capacity on it with a full quiver. So it's an absolutely beautiful thing to have. You want to keep it up as much as possible, and I stack for as much duration so that I can reduce my overall actions per minute, because my other abilities are going to be needed to be cast every minute to minute and a half depending on the abilities. Outside of the 2, which the only time I use the 2 is when I'm going to loot, which is roughly every 40 seconds to a minute, so it isn't really too much of an issue. I also do use the 2 as well for when I'm casting out my Zenny Star. I'll cast that right before I'll use my 2 Zenny Star, and then I'll go out and loot all at one time, and it just makes for a nice overall thing. We'll be getting into the Zenny Star build later, but just wanted to give a overall clarification on how I use it as a strategy and work everything together. Now, strength itself, that's only used to scale Shock Trooper and also your 2, so that you have faster movement speed, and also so your Zenny Star procs more frequently and your heavy attack wind is reduced as well. With the Shock Trooper, the ratio is an exact 1-to-1 ratio, so if you have 200% power strength, then you have a 200% buff. And same if you have 40%, you'll have a 40% buff. So with all of that together, it just helps a lot with scaling and quality of life. Now, I use Combat Discipline in order to proc Avenger to give myself an additional 45% flat crit chance on the Barama, and Acceleration is used to produce an additional 90% fire rate on the Barama as well, making it so our rounds per minute is significantly higher, and we can actually hold the potential we need for the damage output. Aptitude, even though it doesn't actually affect the AoE, it does affect the direct damage. So when the AoE falls off, the AoE primes the mobs, and by the time they get in line of sight of you to be hit by the direct damage, they're already fully primed up and ready to go. Now, you'll note earlier I did say 36 rounds in the single quiver. Now, this is achieved through Ammo Drum, giving us 9 rounds in the actual quiver, but because munitions makes 1 round actually equal 4, we're able to have the 36 that we actually were referring to earlier. The secondary doesn't matter. Use anything you want. I didn't end up using it for anything meaningful. Now, Zenny Star was a different story. That was a massive help for crowd control at higher levels due to the blast and the electric. The electric we gained from the 1 augment, and the Blast, the reason why this helps a lot is as mobs scale, their accuracy increases. Blast reduces accuracy. So you're able to actually get it to the point where mobs can miss you again, because at some point they will have 100% accuracy. And this will negate that, making things a bit of an easier time for you. It's not solidified like hard easy for you. At that point, like they're not going to miss every shot, but they still will actually miss more frequently. As always with any star, a ribbon isn't needed. The only reason you do want a ribbon is for initial combo, because initial combo determines the duration of the disc. Every combo point that you have is 10 seconds. I run out of 4 times, so I have a 40-second duration on mine currently. Jin is a basic build, and the reason why I use Jin is because he's just a very neutral companion. He does have the most convenient res when he dies, but that's pretty much the only predominant reason, is so that I can have a res faster, because I'm not the greatest at Vault. I am good enough to get the job done with the tools that I had at hand, pretty much. But if you are more comfortable with Vault and everything like that, do feel free to use any pet that you actually do want to use. The Volk Lock is to trigger Tenacious Bond, and also to give us Vigilante set for the crit enhancement. For the Parazon, the 2 that I would recommend the most is Untraceable and Runtime, and this is to help you actually find your room much faster and easier. For the Tenno Arcanes, I went with Lockdown and Elevate, mainly for the situations where I needed a quick crowd control, and Elevate helps whenever you do get dots on yourself in any moment in time and you don't want to use your rolling guard then, because maybe you have to, you have to save it here in like a few seconds to loot or something like that. So in the meantime, while you're waiting for that, these are niche situations, but it's still nice to have the extra healing to your Warframe. For the Focus School, I use Zeneric. Disarming, Sling, Temporal Drag, and Shot weren't in the run, so they aren't needed. But I can say Drag and Sling could help you with better controlling Acolytes. Also, Inner Might doesn't matter at all. For the Spectre, I use Nidus due to his link, and this was to give me more power strength. It's not 100% needed, it's more a quality of life boost. And he also does do a heal over time on occasion, but the quality of life boost comes from increasing your kills per hour, because the rate at which you kill mobs will be faster, and this will help decrease the likelihood of you having to use oxygen capsules. So that's where the quality of life comes in there, and also just generally decreasing the time to kill on acolytes, making it less stressful on them and reducing the point at which you actually need to use the lockdown on them. Or increasing the level at which you will need to use lockdown for them. A few other Spectres that could help here too. You could use an Ancient as well for status immunity / a 90% damage reduction. Also, you could use a Shield Off Spree, of course, to help with shield regens. But those 2 aren't necessary, but they are things that you can use. Just note they probably will be dying a fair amount, so bring a decent amount with you. But that does it for the build video. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts, opinions, and be sure to check out the description for my streaming channel, motivational quote / workout channel, and also, of course, my girlfriend / mod, her link tree for all of her channels. She does only casually upload, as she does help me a lot with things outside of stream and also in stream and stuff like that, so I can actually put in all the hours I do and get all the crazy runs I do. So definitely be sure to go show her some love, and I do hope you all take care, stay safe, stay humble, be open, and as always, never stop searching. Peace, everybody.